Let me turn to Bulent Aliriza. He's the founding director of the Turkey Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Bulent, first of all, welcome to you. What a year 2016 was for Turkey. Multiple suicide attacks. Then you had the attack at Ataturk Airport. Then you had the failed coup in July. Then the assassination of the Russian ambassador. Now this absolutely horrific attack at this nightclub on New Year's Eve. Why are we seeing these types of attacks?
Well, 2017 has begun the way that 2016 ended. Turkey's facing the nightmare of having to deal with terrorism perpetrated by ISIS, as well as Kurdish separatist terrorism, the aftermath of the failed coup attempt, which you just mentioned. And frankly, I don't see an end in sight. I fear that there will be more attacks. The government will do its best to cope with this threat, with the twin threats, which is frankly unprecedented. There are very few countries in the world that actually face the kind of threats that Turkey faces. And the fact that it's immediately north of the ongoing wars in Syria and Iraq makes it very difficult for Turkey to deal with the problem within its borders, as long as the problems beyond its borders are continuing.
I want to get to that in a moment, but why do you think this particular Reina nightclub, a beautiful place on the water, why do you think this place was targeted?
I think, a lot of people have actually looked into whether it was picked deliberately, and the ISIS claim of responsibility refers to it as a place where Christians are celebrating, obviously the perpetrator of the attack, and the claim of responsibility is mixing up Christmas with New Year's Eve. But obviously, the kind of celebration that was going on there was unacceptable to the assassin, to the murderer. But I think there is a reason beyond that. The symbolism is less important than the target of opportunity that Turkey presented. ISIS would have loved to have done something in New York, Washington, Berlin, London, Paris. It could not do so. But it could send its people, its operatives, in this case, one operative, beyond the border from Syria into Turkey, to carry out this mass murder. Then the other factor that we have to bear in mind is that, as your reporter just mentioned, Turkish forces are involved in a fight against ISIS in northern Syria. So ISIS does have a reason to retaliate against Turkey, and obviously doing so on New Year's Eve was the best way to get publicity.
So do you believe Turkey right now faces a greater threat from Kurdish militants, PKK, or ISIL?
Well, you were talking about the various attacks, but one you left out was the attack near the stadium by the PKK, which killed a lot of people again just a couple of weeks ago. We're beginning to forget about the severity of each attack when a new one comes, but put them all together, we're talking about how serious the twin threats are. It's difficult to say which one is greater than the other. Obviously, ISIS has shown the capacity to do these horrible things throughout the world. But so has the PKK, but only within Turkey.
Bulent, and I have to ask you about President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his strategy. He has a crackdown on opponents, on dissidents, on journalists. Is his strategy making the situation even worse?
It's a good question. I mean, Turkey has faced a terrible trauma. That was the coup. And the government has chosen to respond to it in a harsh manner, hoping that this will be the way to deal with it. Now, we will have to wait and see whether the iron fist approach is actually working and getting Turkey back to the kind of oasis of stability that it was in. But having to deal with the aftermath of the coup, and at the same time that you're dealing with the twin threats, makes rational decision-making or rational policy-making that much more difficult.
We'll leave it there. Bulent Aliriza, thank you so much, sir, for being here.
Thank you.